Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Dennis Mariano. This is our Transformational Healing Seminar. And tonight we have a very special guest. And it's very apropos in today's challenging world that we live in. Would you agree that we need to garner more mindfulness than ever before? That there's so many ways that we can be distracted. There's so many ways we can be manipulated in how we should feel. And tonight's topic is very important because then we can then give you the opportunity to learn methods on how, as the title of the seminar tonight is to learn the secrets of inner peace in a busy, crazy world. So in a moment, we'll be introducing our special guest, Nancy. And in the meantime, we always want to share our mission statement, which is to provide you with the best technology in holistic health and life care. And our catalyzing statement is to inspire people to live extraordinary lives so they can be a beacon of hope for others. Because if you live a life that's challenging and you don't have the tools on how to live a life because you keep focusing on what you are looking at instead of what you want, it's going to be very hard for you to be inspiring and to be light to others. So that's why we have these seminars, give you every opportunity every week to reconnect, to go deep, to do something that's the same thing, but to do it in a different way. So comment, like, and share when you find information here that you appeals to you so they can share it with other people as well. So without further ado, help us welcome our very special guest speaker, Nancy Boudrie. And this is your remote here, so that arrow down goes up.
Okay, perfect. Let's see, am I standing in the right spot?
Yep, perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, I want to take a breath for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to ask yourself, what do I need to do to claim a sense of inner peace for myself? I want you to close your eyes, connect. What do I need to do to claim or to feel inner peace? And what would that feel like? What would inner peace feel like? Now open your eyes, and what does inner peace feel like? Okay, tell me what. Can you think of something?
Just a smooth feeling, like listening to the ocean waves or something like that.
Awesome. That's what it feels like. So a tactile sensation. Dennis, you got any thoughts? Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect.
It's a feeling of detachment, so not being influenced by any thoughts or concerns, and just being in the present moment.
In the present moment. Perfect. So a visual picture and then a tactile detachment, right? When I was training at University of Chicago, the business school there for mindful leadership, they told us to take a lemon. Now we're all on Zoom. None of us are in person. And I want you to feel the outside of the lemon. And then I want you to cut the lemon. And then I want you to notice the juices running out. She's describing this thing. And we've got our eyes closed. And then she goes, I want you to cut another piece. And then I want you to take it and I want you to suck on it. And then she said, how many of you have saliva in your mouth? This is exactly what we're talking about. We can thinking, feeling, thinking. How do I create inner peace in a chaotic, crazy world? 4 biggest influencers to me. Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, the founding father of MBSR. Dr. Joe Dispenza. I brought one of his books, one of my favorite, and I use constantly in his coaching program. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Dr. David Hawkins, author of Power versus Force. And Dr. Wayne Dyer, we all know and love him, right? He was on PBS, wonderful individual. I bring these guys up because what I want to talk about is how do we create this inner peace? Well, I believe they hold very key pieces to how we do exactly like we just did. And for a hot second, I'm hoping even those watching had a feeling of peace because you were creating it. Now, the power of the mind is what I'm getting at. Emotions create thoughts. And your thoughts are your perceptions. And repetitive thoughts become beliefs. I want you to think about that for a moment. Emotions create thoughts. Repetitive thoughts create a belief statement. And those thoughts create perceptions, by the way, are not facts. Everything is energy. That's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want. You cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics.
Weird Al.
Exactly. Love his hair. Where's our hair product on that? So, I just said emotions create thoughts that create perception. Everything is energy. So what I want to share, starting, just putting your toe in the water. If we want to create a feeling of peace, which is an expanded state of being, then how do I dial in and notice what I'm feeling and thinking in the present moment? Do you think that would hold? Creating a state of peace in a chaotic world? Do you think that would, if I could teach you to do that, do you think it would work? Right? Seems valuable, right? I created, trademarked my Pathway to Inner Peace featuring the 4R method, all based on these guys' teachings. And I believe it does work. I've been doing it for 18 years. So let's get a little background so we know what we're talking about. Dr. David Hawkins, we were just talking about that, power versus force. I love this. There's a lot of different charts out there. The reason why I like this one is because I'm talking about contraction and expansion. This gives you the visual. Peace, right up here, right? Right before ultimate consciousness. But we don't have to live in awe. We can actually be quite productive between courage and acceptance. Happiness and productivity lie there. This is in his book, Power versus Force. If we can identify, and notice each emotion has a vibration. So I just said how everything is energy. There can be no other way. So if we want to create an energetic imprint, high versus this, I have to dial in and understand where I am emotionally at any given moment. So just take a moment. No judgment. That's what mindfulness teaches us. Ask yourself, where are you right now? Am I in an apathy? I really don't care. Am I angry at somebody? Angry at life? Angry at what you did to me? Am I at a neutral state of being? Willingness, maybe courage. Courage to show up and listen tonight. There's a million other things to do. The courage to show up and listen. Right? Acceptance of where I am. These are all very, very powerful. And again, we're just putting our toe in the water tonight. You want to learn more? I'd love to share more with you. So Dr. Joe Dispenza, you cannot see the way out of a challenge if you're looking at every day from the same level of mind, emotions, thoughts, and feelings of the past. So if we dial into what we're feeling at any given moment, we hold the power to come out of the past and into the present. Thinking, feeling, feeling, thinking. I thought it was really interesting in this book. He talks about doing a study, people who went through a program called the Quick Coherence Technique with heartmath.org. And the Dr. Rain was the gentleman doing the experiment. He first studied a group of 10 individuals who were well practiced in using techniques that the HeartMath teaches to build heart-focused coherence. They applied the techniques to produce strong, elevated feelings of love and appreciation for 2 minutes. and they held vials of DNA samples suspended in deionized water. When those samples were analyzed, there was no statistical significant change that had occurred. All the people were taught and instructed was to feel. We said the beach, a beautiful, peaceful ocean. Okay? Second group of trained participants did the same thing, but instead of just creating a positive emotion, a feeling of love and appreciation, they simultaneously held an intention to either wind or unwind the strands of DNA that were in this deionized water, this tube that they were holding. This group produced statistically significant changes in the conformation or the shape of the DNA sample, some as much as 25%. So they were instructed to not only feel, but create a thought of unwinding or winding the DNA. A third group of trained subjects held a clear intent to change the DNA, but they were instructed not to enter into a positive emotional state. In other words, they were only using thought to affect matter. The end result? Only when subjects held both heightened emotion and a clear objective in alignment were they able to produce the intended effect. Thinking, feeling, feeling, thinking. If you dial into your emotion, you begin to understand if you're in a contracted or an expanded state, you hold the power to create. The challenge comes in releasing memorized patterning, memorized emotions. We actually, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza in this book, we have a chemical elixir. We can be addicted to guilt. We can think and feel and think only guilty thoughts. We'll actually create an environment without external, just internal, of guilt. Regardless of what's happening out here, I'm guilty and feel bad about everything. So you want to be really dialed in and understand your emotional state of being creates your thoughts, creates your perception, and creates the reality you experience. Mindfulness. I love mindfulness because it is a proven technique to rewire the brain. I hear all the time in my coaching program, you can't change somebody. No, you can't, but they can change themselves. This is proven with science, rewiring the brain. Mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmentally. Key pieces: on purpose, non-judgmentally, staying in the moment. I want to challenge you to look at it even further. Mindfulness means maintaining a moment-by-moment awareness of our thoughts, our feelings, our body sensation, because our bodies are the best mind readers ever. Hence why you're here. Dr. M is teaching you to really tune into that body. That body tells you everything. And surrounding environment, right? Emotional, chemical, all that he's talking about, with mindful attitudes of acceptance, curiosity, self-compassion, and openness. This, to me, is the definition of what mindfulness is. You have to maintain a present moment awareness of your thoughts, your feelings, and your body sensations, and your environment, because they directly affect. If you're triggered, you got to be aware that you're triggered. The external environment or the surrounding environment with an attitude of acceptance. Don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it, but it is reality. I have to accept what is. Observer mode, curiosity, like the scientist observing an experiment. Self-compassion, very, very hard for us. We don't cultivate self-compassion enough. The inner critic runs the show, right? And an openness to change. So let's practice tuning in for just a hot second. This is how you start to bring awareness to your surrounding environment, your breath, your emotions, your thoughts, your body sensations. So let's close the eyes, or if you're uncomfortable with closing the eyes, choose a soft gaze and glance down. And I want you to just bring your awareness in. Notice the natural flow of your breath. Feel how it flows in. Feel how it flows out. Don't alter it. Just notice it. Greet it right where it is. And sometimes, even when I start my practice, I can feel myself sigh. Sigh resets the breath. And if I greet myself like a whirling dervish, all that energy in there, just come down for a hot second. I'm aware I'm breathing in, and just breathe in. You're giving your mind something to do. I'm aware I'm breathing out, and I breathe out. Now gently scan the body. Start at the base of your feet. Just tune in. What's going on in my body? How does my body feel in this present moment? And I want you, if you start to feel like you're drifting off to sleep, or just, I'm awake, I'm alive, and I'm aware. I'm tuning in to my inner world. How does my body feel? Noticing your feet, your legs. You might even throw an appreciation in there for all that they do. Breathe into them, feel it. Maybe at the heart you just enjoy a feeling of heart-centeredness, appreciation, gratitude, right there at heart center for this present moment. This present moment is perfect just as it is. Because there's nothing but tuning in going on here. Wonderful moment of self-care. Just proceed on up. Notice the entire body now. Ask yourself, what am I feeling emotionally? What's my emotional set point? Maybe you're even noticing the thoughts that are passing through. Notice your thoughts, but try not to get caught up in them. Imagine them like clouds passing by. You can't touch them, you just see them passing by. Those thoughts might actually hold wisdom that tell you where you are emotionally. I'm going to stay silent for a minute here. No judgment, just the observer. There is no bad emotion, no good emotion, they're just emotions. They come, they go. Like waves, cresting and receding. And if you get caught up in an emotion, take a moment, breathe, detach, be the observer, witness. You get caught up in a thought. And last, I want you to choose choiceless awareness. We call it choiceless awareness. We're going to hold for a minute whatever happens, whether it's an emotion, whether it's a feeling in the body, whether it's a thought. Just be. right where you are, before we open the eyes, can you choose a state of peace? Whether it's the ocean, a visual picture that creates this feeling on a cellular level for me, or how Dr. M described it, a feeling of detachment and just being. Not all of us choose visualness. Feeling comes how we uniquely package it. And breathe. Set that intention that in a few minutes when we open the eyes, you're going to choose to take this state of peace with you. And we want to set the intention that when I open the eyes, I'm going to see my entire surroundings like I'm seeing it for the first time. Because in essence, you are, as this moment's never been lived. So you get to greet it with what we call beginner's mind. And then when you're ready, gently open the eyes. Choose a focal point and then expand your vision from there. And imagine seeing out of a lens of peace. And I'll wrap with a favorite quote from Wayne Dyer. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Think about that for a moment. When you change the way you look at talked about beginner's mind, talked about embracing peace in this chaotic world that we live in. If I change and choose to see from peace, the things that I see will change. Maybe I'll see the peace instead of the chaos. I want to share with you. Nope. Is this your part?
Yeah. That's
Okay. It's Dennis's turn.
I can go back.
Oops.
You can go back.
Oops.
That's okay.
Okay, perfect. We will wrap, and I'll let Dennis wrap, and then at the end, I want to share with you how we can connect. There's multiple ways, and I'm going to share a, what's that called?
QR code.
Yeah, the QR code. Oh, getting with the times, baby. To sign up for my mindful moments that come weekly. Or if you're ready to talk to me, you want to talk, you want to learn more how to apply what you've got going, and you want to take what I've just explained and how to apply it. I also have a whole descriptive on my program, Rewire and Radiate. It leads you to my website as well as my Pathway to Inner Peace, featuring the 4R method that I'm in process of trademarking. So I appreciate all your time and allowing me to share my passion and my purpose.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. That was very profound and very beneficial and very much needed tonight. We will share at the end the QR code for her for you to connect with her. Just for a few minutes, we just want to tie things together. And this God-created body that we have, which is fearfully and wonderfully made, the way we connect to our environment is through your nervous system. And we're very fortunate to have been chosen to be in a holistic way to understand the principle that the way you perceive everything, your eyesight, your perception, the mechanoreceptors and feelings, everything's vibrational frequency. And the interpreter of that is your brain. And that's why it's very critical to keep that in mind, because think about this. If you have somebody with Alzheimer's, it's going to be very hard for them to be in mindfulness, right? Because the perception of the environment and the internal environment has now been garbled so deeply that you can't use the instrument, this vessel, this temple that we've been given. And that's why it's so important to remind ourselves that the way we're created is that everything's supposed to be connected from the very beginning. And when your brain cells and the energy of the body is connected to the tissue and organ cells, you have 100% function. It's a loop. In chiropractic, we call this a safety pin cycle. That the safety pin, when it's closed, you have proper connection. However, when we live life with the challenges, especially in today's world, with the physical stress, the emotional stress, and the chemical stress, our spines get into what's called high sympathetic tone, and it's unconscious and you cannot control it. And what happens then is the messages from the brain are not able to be transmitted to the nervous system. So now the inhibition of the expression of life begins to occur. I mean, how many people do you know that when you get subluxated, you just aren't right? You know, I know when I get subluxated, I don't get in pain. I just can't stand myself. It's like, all right, I gotta get myself, back in balance, because it's a very subtle frequency. And Nancy is very energetically sensitive, and she shares that with us every time she gets rebalanced, that she can feel, and sometimes she starts seeing stars, right, or whatever you do.
Yeah.
So
it's like an unkinked toes.
yeah, it just everything begins to flow. It's a very unique approach. However, the reason why we're mentioning this is these are principles that are not something we made up. This is the way the body works. It's really important to understand that, because ideally, again, in the very beginning, before we became disenchanted with life from our mothers, fathers, preachers, teachers, that we were supposed to express optimal health and function. But again, as life happens to us, the misalignments in the spine, the tension in the nervous system, the autonomic system becomes malfunctioning. It starts to go hyper, and then your body and organs don't function the way they're supposed to. The hormones don't balance themselves out. The digestion doesn't function the way it's supposed to. The immune system doesn't function the way it's supposed to. The whole body then is almost like a car that's going too fast and it's shaking. It's really hard to navigate life when your nervous system is not in harmony. And then you start becoming diseased, or the ease that you feel, that as the Eagles group, the musical group, the Eagles say, instead of having that peaceful, easy feeling, you don't have that peaceful, easy feeling. You have the distorted, pissed off kind of feeling, because then you end up losing your health. You have now lack of ease in the body. And the last thing to appear, which is what the traditional model wants us to keep looking at, is symptoms and the muscles and the pain and the suffering and all the diseases. Keep in mind, it's way down here. And so, just like our practice is to analyze your nervous system, because it's a physical component of it, you have to remember that the body is like a coin. The one side of the coin is the structural neurological part, which is the physical and the known and can be seen. But the inner being of who you are is the other part, which is the quantum mechanical version of you that cannot be measured necessarily, but you cannot feel it, you can't see it. They're both the same side, the opposite side of the same coin. And what Nancy does is to complement what we're doing, because you can get adjusted, you can eat well. If you don't have the capacity to be in your body in the present moment and have that mindedness, it's going to be very difficult for you to hold those adjustments. And these are habit patterns. As Dr. Joe Dispenza says, you start living in your familiar past. By the time you age 35, your body's become the mind. And now you'll have 60 to 70,000 thoughts every single day, and only 5% is conscious. Because you're walking around like a robot, and you don't even know you're doing it. And the work that Nancy does is makes you become aware, go back to the very beginning with a beginner's mind, and how do we then recapture and teach, as Dr. Dispenza talks about, teach your body to sit like a dog. And it's not going to want you to do it. It's going to complain. It's going to give you aches and pains. It's going to give you, discomfort, because it wants you to heal. But then Nancy's work will allow you to then recapture who you truly are, so that you can live the life that you want to live. So please comment, like, and share with us. We are on Facebook, and 2 pages there, and then here. And also, we are on YouTube, and then also on Instagram as well, and also obviously our website. So our next seminar, this is really a really good seminar, how to do the muscle testing. How can you then communicate? So we're going to put things together. So the physical component is neurological. Nancy's component is more the ethereal, the quantum mechanical here, the invisible part. But there's a bridge that you can do that with, and that's called muscle testing. And we can teach you the principles of how that works, so you can then learn how to communicate and bridge that gap. There's a chasm that can be bridged by learning how to talk to the body-mind in a non-verbal way. And this is her QR code. So everybody online, I'll step aside there. This part right here is the rewire and radiate. And this one is you could schedule a call with Nancy.
Yeah.
So this way you can connect with her and decide where you want to take this. Here's another thing. This is a seed that we're planting right now. You may not be ready, but the seed, if you plant it, gets the opportunity to grow because you've been exposed to it. And that's the reason why we have these seminars. You may get one thing, and many of our practice members go, oh, I've been to so many. But you know what? You're not the same person that came here 2 years ago. The information may be the same, but it's not the same information because we're different, you're different, and the dynamics are always changing. We're always here for that contrast. So please connect with Nancy. Again, the muscle test seminars next week. So let's tie this together and going to expound on it a little bit more. This is one of the last books Dr. Hawkins wrote. It's called The Map of Consciousness. And Nancy touched on that in terms of how she will guide you through. But I want to leave you with this. In today's challenging world, it's really critical that you understand the principles of where you are. To expand on it, the principle is anything below 200 frequency, a vibrational frequency, will tend to weaken you. Anything above 200 will strengthen you. Anything below 200, you have to use a lot of force to do. If you go above 200, it empowers you. So for example, if you are in a place of fear with what's happening in the world around you, that's 100, that's half of what it should be. And the feeling of emotion associated with fear is you feel anxious. And everything you see is to the eyes of anxiety. And your life view is life is frightening. And God view is God is punitive. The reason why I'm pissed off, afraid, is because I'm being punished. And therefore, what's the action step that you take when you have this feeling? You just hide. You either hide on your Facebook, you hide on your TV, you hide under your food, you hide under distractions, because there's not a vibrational frequency. Now, if you look at Abraham Hicks' recommendation, you can't get from here to there. So if you're in fear, it's better to be in desire than in fear. You can go one step at a time. And it's better to be in anger than in desire. It's better to have pride than anger. It's better to have courage, and so on and so forth. But if you look at the very highest level, what Nancy started, if your level of vibration is 600, that's peace, your life view is life is perfect, and your God view is God is all being, everywhere and always, and your emotion is that of bliss, and then you become that light that God created the whole world. In the beginning, God said, let there be light. We are all beings of light. And therefore, you get the opportunity to illuminate. Here's the last principle before we close tonight. A person, if you're vibrating at the high level here, keep in mind, this is not linear. This is logarithmic. Meaning, if you start here, it goes up this way, and it goes into infinity. It never stops. This is not linear. So the vibrational frequency of anything above 200, a person vibrating above 200 can negate millions of people below 200. It's exponential. So keep that in mind. So that let's not take it for granted that yes, you may have challenges in your life, but if you keep staying above 200 and focus on these emotions, even look at in the scriptures, whatsoever things are good and honest, think on these, like love, gratitude, peace, joy. It's all right there. It's all vibrationally evident. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. Hopefully we were able to share information with you, not only information, but principles that can allow you to navigate the challenging world that we live in. And guess what? The world is only going to get more complex but our minds need to be more calm on the inside, and our thought patterns, because the way we don't the way we look at the world is not the way it is. It's the way we look at ourselves. It's a reflection of who we are on the inside. Thank you again, Nancy, for being an amazing speaker this evening. We will then share this with everybody, share this with all the people that you know. Until we see you next time, I'm Dr. Dennis Mariano. Have a great night.